In this presentation, we're looking at the proof and evidence that the temple was, in fact, in the city of David by looking at Solomon's Porch and the Nathanmelech seal impression. Nathanmelech seal found in the western gate of the temple, and Solomon's Porch is, in fact, in the eastern part of the temple. But the Nathanmelech seal was discovered, and we have proof and evidence this was actually a building and structure part of the western gate of the temple. Now, in our temple outline here, you can see the temple, the great court, and to the east of which was something called Solomon's Porch. Josephus describes this, okay? And here we are standing on the Mount of Olives, and we're pointing out the area called the Ophel. And what we're doing is we're looking at the eastern side of what's called the Temple Mount. Okay, we believe that to be the Roman fortress. So from this point where I'm pointing my finger down to the south, Josephus said it was 600 feet where the temple was south of the Temple Mount. Okay, so Dr. Ernest Martin, in his research, clearly identified this, and this would be in the area we're pointing to where the temple was located. Okay, now we would have to have archaeology and proof and evidence to find something to prove that where, in fact, the temple was. And that's what we're going to go over in this video, that the area we're pointing out is the Kidron Valley. You're looking down at the Kidron Valley. That's what we're pointing out. And we're pointing that there was a high wall. Okay, there's a high wall, and the temple was on a high wall of 400 cubits that Josephus describes. So obviously, as you look at this area, there's no wall there. Well, the Romans dug up the wall. So you see the wall here. This is Herodian Stones. Okay, so King Herod, he built this. That's what we know this. So that's why we believe it's a Roman fort. But the foundation of the 400 cubit wall that Josephus described went all the way back to Solomon. And we have no proof and evidence of a eastern wall right now because they were, of course, destroyed. So this Solomon's Porch was in the eastern wall of the temple on a foundation of 400 cubits high. Okay, so what you're looking at here is the Ophel. This is the area we believe to be the temple. We're looking at the City of David archaeological park area, okay, where we believe the king's house was. Now we're looking up in an area called the Ophel at the southern wall of the Temple Mount, is what we call it, but we're essentially standing on the where we believe the temple to be. Now we're looking south, and as we look south, you can see the steep valley, okay, of the Kidron Valley there to our left. There's the park. That area there is the scribe's house and the king's house. Okay, we biblically have proof of these. We'll show you all this on a map, guys, if it appears a little bit confusing. But then down below, from this, is the Gihon Spring. And we believe the Gihon Spring was, in fact, feeding the temple area for the priests. Now, we're here on an observation post where we can show the best we can the city of David. It's a much lower level than modern-day Jerusalem. But you can see, to this direction, the dome there, that's the Alaska Mosque. That is on top of what they call the Temple Mount. We believe it to be the Fortress Antonio. But you can see that wall that's running there. That is the southern wall of the Temple Mount. Now, what Josephus says is that corner right there, over there, is 600 feet to the south of the temple. So the temple would be 600 feet south of that. So this area is in very, very close proximity to the Fortress Antonio. Now you can hear roosters. There's people living all up here. So it's very difficult to do archaeology and excavations. But what we have is, over here is the Mount of Olives. Going down the Mount of Olives, you have the Kidron Valley. So the Kidron Valley is dropping down all the way along, and along the Kidron Valley is the city of David, heading to the south in the Pool of Siloam. So that's heading down to the south of the Pool of Siloam, and we're going to show you all the proof and archaeological evidence of the city of David in all the scriptures. Particularly, if you want to catch up, read Nehemiah chapter 3. We're going to look at the walls. We're going to look at many other proofs and evidence of both the temple, the Pool of Siloam, the tombs of the kings of Judah. All of it is in the city of David. Okay, let's take a look at the Old City of Jerusalem map and orient ourselves on significant facts in archaeology. We have proof and evidence showing the temple was in the city of David. Now, before we were standing on the Mount of Olives, and Mount of Olives is to the east, and we were looking in this direction at the Temple Mount area and the city of David here. Okay? Now, let's take a look at proof and evidence of actual archaeology and evidence of where the temple is. Let's go over it real quick. We're going to use historical accounts by Josephus and actual archaeology by Alat Mazar in the city of David. Okay, Josephus describes two roads called cardos. Okay, one of them would adjoin to the temple. So that's this one here, two roads. We have other videos on the eastern and western cardos, very insignificant. Next, let's take a look at what we're going to talk about in this video. Is we're going to spend some time and we're going to show you this southern portion of the wall to show you the proof in fact that Herod built this, okay? And we're going to take a look at this eastern side too as well. But what do we know? What do we know? How do we have actual proof and evidence of actual sites listed in the Bible to show us the temple? All right, number one, in this video we're going to also explain to you something called the Gevatti parking lot excavation site. That's right here. It's in the corner of these two roads. And this is in fact the western gate of the temple. When you see this seal impression I have in my hand, this was discovered there. And in 2 Kings chapter 23 verse 11, this person, Nathanmelech, is described as being in the western gate of the entrance to the house of the Lord. So that's here. I mean, he's physically found the seal impression in his house, which is the western gate entering the temple. So that's the western gate. Now, we also know that this area here is called the Ophel. And in the Ophel, we also have proof and evidence of biblical characters. In this case, the prophet Isaiah, his seal impression was found, and that was discovered in this area here, called the Ophel. The Bible describes the Ophel as adjoining to the eastern gate of the temple. All right, now we have two critical points. We have the western gate of the temple. We have the eastern gate of the temple. Proof and facts. Now, we also believe the Gihon spring was feeding the temple, okay, for the priests, giving them fresh water. So the Gihon spring is here. We also have David's house, or David's palace, is here. Now, David's house and David's palace was right next to the temple. Okay, we have evidence of that this, in fact, is King David's house. Okay, and that the people that guarded the temple also guarded the king's house. Okay, so it's going to be very, very close to the temple. Next to that is something called the scribe's house, or scribe's chamber, which is in book of Jeremiah. We have other videos on this, guys. We're moving through this quickly, but the Gihon spring, okay, comes and it feeds down into the pool of Siloam. Okay, so you can see it runs down underground. You can see that. It's Hezekiah's tunnel. And the pool of Siloam is here. All of this is clearly described throughout the scriptures in Nehemiah chapter 3 and elsewhere with the road that leads up, okay, to the temple. Josephus describes that, okay? Now, what we're going to discuss in this video is this western gate here and Solomon's porch. Okay, Solomon's porch, or the eastern gate, we kind of have that in this general area. This is now a cliff face, really. But the reason for that is that Josephus says that the wall here in the eastern part of the temple was huge. It was 400 cubits high. Okay, it's built up very high for the structure of the temple. So what do we know? We know that that doesn't exist at all because Josephus says that those foundation stones of that tall wall went and dated back to Solomon. So when the temple was destroyed, there was foundations that Ezra and Nehemiah, they built upon. So they knew exactly where the temple was. They built upon the same foundations. When Herod rebuilt, he didn't touch the eastern wall. He left it alone because it was ancient. However, we have proof and evidence of Herod's construction throughout the whole Temple Mount complex. So if this were the temple, why don't we see Solomon stones? Because it's not the temple. The temple And the foundations were dug up by the Romans because they were pulling for all the oil and everything else. Now here you can see the enormous size of some of the stones. Here, this is the southern portion of the wall of the Roman fortress. And it's enormous. You can see my hand lifting up how large they are going down to here. And we have many more even larger than this that we can show you by the western wall as we go underneath. But guys, this is a fortification that has withstood all this time. And, you know, look at this stone. He said no stone will be left turned on another, okay? And there are enormous stones that we have on the southern portion, the western portion, and also the eastern portion. Again here at the south-facing wall of the Temple Mount, and you can again see the enormous size of these stones. Yet these stones we know to be built by Herod the Great, Herod the Builder, because we have his signature of his stonework of Herodian stones. Okay, we'll show you how we know these are Herodian stones in a moment. So these are not Solomon stones. We know Herod built this. And if we take a look, watch it, how far and how large these continue to go. Okay, these are over, you know, the height of me standing and my arm's length. And as you look here, you can see these are ancient stones, but we do know these are Herodian stones by this feature right here. You see my hand is pointing out this notch, okay, that is carved out of the corners of all the stones. These are Herodian stones. We know this very consistently throughout all of Herod's structures. He would always have this feature on his foundation stone. So these are not built by Solomon. However, this is the south-facing wall. Okay, so this is not the wall we're really looking at here in this video. We're looking at the eastern wall because we do know when Herod built and rebuilt the temple and many of the structures and expanded upon it, that now what we're doing, we're heading towards the east. Okay, now the higher up you go, you can see there's rebuilding, but Herod did not rebuild the eastern wall of the temple. He said those stones were very ancient and he respected the work and the history, so he did not touch the eastern wall, which is around that corner. So if this were, obviously this is something Herod built, but if this were the temple, we would see original stones and foundations built by Solomon himself. So here we are at the south, which is this side, and this here is the east corners of the Temple Mount fortress. Now, it was this corner that Josephus describes the largest tower, and it's in this corner that we also see the highest level of Herodian stones. Now, you can see that here in this video. It doesn't really give you a sense of how high this is, but I'll try to convey that to you. But it's really, really large. What we have here is the eastern side, and of course these are the original stones. They haven't moved. These are Herodian stones, as we know. And you know, we'll turn the camera around to try and give you a sense of how large this is, and how you know, certainly the foundation of what we're looking at would support a very large tower. A tower approximately 100 feet. Okay, so let's take a little closer look. Fort Antonia have very large towers at each of the four corners. That's what we're discussing here. And the foundation of Herodian stones for those towers. Now, the reason we know these are Herodian stones is we, again, have the borders here along the lines of the stones. Now, these, of course, some are very worn and damaged. But this is really high here. I mean, what? I don't know. I'm not good at guessing heights. Although what we're looking at is tall, Josephus said that Fortress Antonia had 4 towers at the corners. Okay, but these are Herodian stones you're looking at. Not stones by Solomon, stones by Herod. So it has to be a fortress that Herod built, not Solomon. So Solomon, on this eastern wall, at some point we would be able to see walls for Solomon's porch. Evidence of Solomon's construction, Solomon's foundation stones, but we don't see it because it's not built by Solomon, it is not the temple. Christ's words are true. Not one stone will be left upon another. So the only thing left in Jerusalem was the Roman fortress. That's it. Now, another interesting feature is that we know that this Fort Antonia had very, very large towers at north, south, east, and west. Okay, so we're here at Robinson's Arch. We can see the border of Herodian Stones. Now, this is enormous. I don't really have much to give you an idea of scale. I guess you can see the barrier there. But these are very, very large stones. So this could be the remnants here of one of the towers that were destroyed. So there were towers north, south, east, west at the four corners. And that's what we might have here is the remnants of not just Robinson's Arch there, okay, which went there, but this also could be the remnants of the tower, because we knew this was also destroyed in one of the Jewish revolts. All right, this is the corner south here, and the other side is east. And this is not a good view because I'm very, very far below in the Ophel. And the Ophel is an area that was part of the first temple and the second temple. It talks about it in its walls, and the water gate, and various descriptions of it here. But these are residences. Now you can see how far below the level was for some of these residences, okay, and how high up above the fortress was, okay. What we have here is these are the stones that are original. See those? Those are Herodian stones there. Okay, going up to right there. All right, let's orient ourselves, guys. This wall here, where you see the person in the yellow in that fence, it's going around this corner. My finger, okay, all that. Behind that is the Gevatti excavation. Up in the distance behind this tree, that's Mount Zion. Okay, up here is the Jewish quarter. All right, so let's maintain that. All right, and then if we turn, there's Alaska Mosque, the southern portion of the Temple Mount, and guys, just here, not these exact rooms, but just here in this area called the Ophel, the Hezekiah and Isaiah seals were also discovered. I'll put links in the description field to describe what we're talking about. Guys, this is amazing. You know, this is amazing. We're really getting close here, guys. This is the Suleiman wall here, but this is the Gevatti parking lot, guys, right there. We have right here at the west, okay, it said the west, Parvar was west. All right, we're walking west. We're facing west. I mean, what this is saying is that the temple is over here. It's right here. Here at the Gevatti parking lot excavation, which you can see behind me, we have found a shocking discovery, an amazing discovery. The seal, Bula seal of Nathanmelech. A seal is like your signature, and we're gonna look here at this excavation, his seal, written in the Bible in 2 Kings 23, verse 3, his chambers, okay? His chambers are here in this excavation. Here is the original seal, and here is the information presented by the city of David, and they even seem to acknowledge the fact that this is connected to the temple. He took away the horses of kings of Judah and the sun, and the entrance of the house of the Lord by the chamber of Nathanmelech, the officer, which is in the precincts. The entrance of the house of the Lord, Nathanmelech, which is in the precincts. Now, the word precincts is the word parbar. Again, at the entering in of the house of the Lord by the chamber, okay, the entering in of the chamber of Nathanmelech, the chamberlain, which was in the suburbs. If we look at this word suburbs, you can see it is parbar. Okay, suburb. Now there's a normal word for suburb in the Hebrew that is used frequently, and that is not this word. Parbar, of foreign origin, parbar, a quarter of Jerusalem. But really what it is, it's a structure or a building attached to the west side of Solomon's temple. Now, this is only used 2 times in the Bible. If we search, we can see that it is also used in 1 Chronicles chapter 26, verse 18. So it's used here in 1 Kings, and it's used here in 1 Chronicles at Parbar westward, for we're at the causeway. So in 1 Chronicles 26 and verse 12, among these were the divisions of the porters, even the chief men, having wards one against another to minister in the what? House of the Lord, in the temple. And he gives you the divisions of the different gates, and we can see at the western gates in verse 18, Parbar westward, 4 at the causeway, 2 at Parbar. These are the divisions of the porters among the sons of Korah, among the sons of Merari. So yes, Parbar only means the western gate of the temple. So there you can clearly see in the city of David the Nathanmelech seal found precisely in the western gate of the temple, which is called the Gevatti parking lot excavation site. That is the gate of the temple. And here is the road of the Cardo, okay, that goes down to the pool of Siloam in the city of David. Okay, so Josephus describes that road going up, so that's exactly that road, and it would adjoin to the temple. Okay, the western portion of the temple that it would adjoin to is found here in the Gevatti parking lot excavation site, which is the Nathanmelech seal, which is the western gate of the temple in the city of David. So guys, that concludes it here at the Gevatti parking lot excavation. The seal of Nathanmelech, okay, it was found here. It has great prophetic significance as it relates to the time what we're in. Passover, the red heifer, okay? His seal at that time of the restoration that Josiah was doing. Now in our day, the restoration is taking place again for the coming Messiah, and the stones are crying out. So please watch the playlist on the true temple location. Shocking, shocking evidence here. Thank you, and God bless you.